Today we're going to be looking at the 115-point performance that Alabama had against Georgia a few weeks ago. So let's get into it. We're going to see Jaden Shackelford. He's going to drive in on number 10, Toumani Camara. And as you can see here, as I'm circling number 24 on Georgia, he's in no man's land. He needs to be doing something. Whether it be helping on the ball over here with Jaden Shackelford or going back to his man, Alex Reese. But he's not doing either of those things. Jaden Shackelford recognizes that, pops it out to him. Alex Reese makes the three. Bang! This next play, we're going to get a really clever pick and roll by Alex Reese. You can see that Sahvir Wheeler is guarding Jaden Shackelford very, very closely, all the way out by half court. So Alex Reese sees that, and he's going to try to set a pick on number 2, Sahvir Wheeler. And at first it looks like he's going to be setting a pick with his back facing towards the camera, but the last minute he flips it, and he really does get Sahvir Wheeler pretty good on the screen. Once Jaden Shackelford gets past Alex Reese's screen, he's able to easily beat number 24 on Georgia here. He drives in, and now that forces number 10, Toumani Camara, to help off of Herb Jones in the corner. Jaden Shackelford then pops it out to Herb Jones, and Herb Jones drains his three. Alright, this next play is pretty darn simple. This is quite the Alabama-esque thing to do. It's just spread everybody out, one-on-one, let's see who wins. And that's what John Petty and Toumani Camara do. Petty just drives in on him, and he scores. Now, it was just one-on-one. Now, Georgia did have the option to help here. As you can see, number 14 was helping off Alex Reese. Alex Reese is considered to be the worst shooter on the floor for Alabama. So he helps off him, but he doesn't really get there in time, and it's doesn't help. On this play, we're going to see James Rojas driving the ball in. And as you can see here, we have Keon Ellis on Alabama in what is considered to be the dunker spot. So he sees James Rojas driving in, and he's going to move over to the other side of the lane. Number 5, who was originally guarding Keon Ellis, is now leaving his man to handle the more important business, which is stopping the ball. Alabama gets lucky. Keon Ellis is able to get the rebound, and now Georgia's scrambling. Keon Ellis puts it right back in. So in this play, we're going to get Alex Reese setting a pick for John Petty. And Georgia easily switches this, which shows you that it's probably not going to be much of a mismatch if Georgia was so willing to switch. Petty drives in, and he beats number 4 here. Because he beats number 4, number 0 has to step up and try to take a charge. It doesn't work. John Petty kicks it out to number 5, Shackelford. That forces number 2, Sahvir Wheeler, to close out at a weird angle on Jaden Shackelford. Jaden Shackelford drives in. You can see that Jaden Shackelford is able to beat his on-ball defender in Sahvir Wheeler. This guy, number 0, recognizes that. So he has to come up and try to take a charge. And what that does, it forces this guy right here to make a decision. Do I guard John Petty down here and give up an open 3? Or do I come over and close the 3 off and give up an open 2? He kind of is in between both. And honestly, I think he should have just been on John Petty. You'd rather give up a shot at a 3 than just a slam dunk like this. And it's quite possible that he was confused and didn't know who to guard. So on this play, we're going to be seeing a little bit of an example why the transition speed works to Alabama's advantage. So Alabama's going to be running the ball up the court, and they get it all the way down here to the corner very, very fast. So this kind of has this guy, number 2, Sahvir Wheeler, worried about a drive. He's going, okay, I got to come down here, and I gotta somewhat contain this drive, because he's thinking Jahvon Quinerly is going to drive in. Jahvon Quinerly doesn't drive in, and now we have the trailer and Josh Primo wide open. No one's covering him, and that's who Sahvir Wheeler needs to be covering. And because all this is happening so fast, there's not enough time to think about what to do. There's not enough time to match up to your defender, to match up to the offender, I guess. And Jahvon Quinerly throws the ball to Josh Primo, and he drains his 3. On this play, we're going to see why the wide spacing for Alabama helps them so much. Take a look at number 14, Keon Ellis. He's about 25 feet away from the basket. He's a good bit away from the three-point line. Now take a look at his defender, number 10. Number 10 is in a help position for a drive, which is fine. But since Keon Ellis is so far back, when the ball goes over to Keon Ellis, number 10 has to take a step up. And when he has to take a step up towards Keon Ellis, that's when Keon Ellis drives at him. So now, Toumani Camara, number 10, has to take a step up, and then he has to go right back backwards. It's hard for even the best defenders to change direction that quickly. If Keon Ellis had been right up on the three-point line here, you see number 10 here would have been in perfect position to close out. He wouldn't really even have to close out. All he had to do is put a hand in his face. But since he has to step up to contain Keon Ellis all the way out here, that's a great window for Keon Ellis to drive in. Now, had Keon Ellis not been a great shooter, he would have just left him. But since Keon Ellis is a good shooter and he has range, that's why Toumani Camara, number 10, is forced to step up and then step back once Keon Ellis drives in. So now let's look at the 100th point of the game for Alabama. On this play, we have Keon Ellis with the ball, and we have number 22 on Alabama, Keon Ambrose Hilton, setting a screen. So he's going to come up and he's going to set what's known as a slip screen. So he's going to set the screen, then he's going to go to the basket immediately. So he sets it, then he rolls to the basket. Okay, so now let's look at how Georgia defends this. What Georgia does is they decide to put two men on the ball. And that's partly due to the fact that if it wasn't a double team, Keon Ellis would have somewhat of a driving lane to the basket. But more importantly, it's probably just Georgia's assignment and what they want to do on pick and rolls. So now, as we see Keon Ellis drive in, I want you to pay attention to this guy deep in the paint. He's going to take a step or two over to help, whether it's the help on number 22, Ambrose Hilton, or the help on the drive, he's coming over to help. And just because he took a step or two towards the basket, he's not going to be able to recover in time to defend the three from Jahvon Quinerly. Keon Ellis does a good job of recognizing that, and he passes it out to Jahvon Quinerly, and Jahvon Quinerly drains the three. So let's go back. What needed to happen here, in my mind, was number 24 needed to come over to number 22, Ambrose Hilton on Alabama. And the reason is, that is a much harder pass for Keon Ellis to make over two defenders, changing direction, crossing his body to get the ball to number 12, Darius Miles, in the corner for a three. But since this guy and this guy right here decides to take a step over to help, he's leaving a much better shooter open, and it's a much easier pass for Keon Ellis. And, well, it backfires on Georgia.